Mr. Bomande, I will come to take your comments on Nkoranza. We have to go back though. My colleague Ohiming Teria is ready for us. Apologies, earlier I said that we were at the home of Albert Donko. Instead, he's at the home of one of the gentlemen, or the gentleman who lost his life yesterday as a result of the protest. Hello, Ohiming. Tell us what's happening where you are.
Thank you, Benis. We are currently in the Nkoranza suburb of Adumkrum, in one of the homes of one of the 10 victims that we are learning was shot yesterday by the police in the clash between the youth and the police yesterday. This house, the reactions here is full of pain and anger as residents join the mother of the deceased and the family to mourn the departed young man, identified as 19-year-old final year student of the Nkoranza Technical Institute, who was caught in yesterday's clash between the police and the youth of Nkoranza. I have been speaking to some residents who have been venting their spleen on the police for killing what they describe as an innocent man. So let me speak to the mother of the gentleman, Madam Yakwa, who has been in pain, as she continued to be in pain, and residents continue to calm him down in this regard. Mami, I'm watching. What you say?
Yeah.
Bominchemu kakra. Obano, ye didn't say no one why cry.
About your band, Victor Wusu. Oya Bema. Oko school MTI. Technical. Round up. Sorry, Sammy Koja. Brother Chana market day. Timmy Quanopa. Never mammy Baiska. Quajo. Janako school. Osemame. Meko. Timmy Fletcher. Echo. Jam. Mojamua. Lamete say. Meban. I was if I wanted to.
So, Benis, this is Madam Yakwa, and she's giving me background to what led to her son being shot in that process. The unfortunate story is that this is the only son or child she has, and she tells me yesterday in the morning, whilst leaving for the market, she actually gave money to the gentleman to go to school. So she didn't hear anything from her child until in the afternoon when she received call from the market that her son has been shot. So she's she's in pain. Mami misa. Say you can't Victor Wusuya. Man on cry or to say.
Bago baby down. A big down. Crow.
Enti pacho wadaroma ma tobo ase na aha. Enti no a wote say etu aka no de na we.
Bobu. Banko, Minua
Ebe chatwa nkomo be kra ne na oni ba ni die ansa kra nkomo be kra ne chatwa oni ni die
be ka je se ojo mi kwatwa enti ko school sama me ko dodo ati ya se me ba ya fribu
So the only opportunity she had was yesterday when she told the son to go to school after giving him money, and then she left for the market. it was later in the day that she received the painful news, and she couldn't withstand it. So it took the brother to go to the hospital to confirm the story that indeed the 19-year-old Victor Owusu has been shot in the head. And she believes that the only child of her has been killed without any cause. And she tells me, Mommy, what's it I can say?
3 months of
So according to the mother, the child or the late Victor Owusu would have written the WASI in the next 3 months, so he completes his course at the Nkoranza Technical Institute, but now he is no more. Let me find out from her again. I will say, "Me who say Fachame say me worry woman and so yedeni say kasa kakra. Say asemo abedi pa na wo hwehwe say besie e wo Victor ni we ho."
Asam tren me pe. Apoti for di mawu. O ma di mawu. O ma di mawu.
Na oti e no na oba no wo ka wo mo ye kire no ho ana say na wo nka ho.
Dabio.
So for Madam Yakwa, she's calling for justice for the late Victor Owusu, and she believes that the police who came in yesterday are at fault and they should be blamed for the death of her child. And for her, she couldn't tell as to whether the late Victor Owusu was part of the youth of Nkoranza who took the streets and then clashed with police yesterday. And the chat okra na me bisa we. If you say asem see no Marco police station, asem be kra no maka kire mo.
E ba jo police for kra mo no.
So I was asking her whether she's been to the police to make some inquiries, and she tells me even the police themselves are not around. They fled the police station just to take cover elsewhere because of what happened yesterday. So that has been the reaction from the home of Victor Owusu, 19-year-old final year student of Nkoranza Technical Institute, who was caught in that particular clash between police and angry youth of Nkoranza, who went rampage yesterday, and he's among the 10 casualties that we are picking were involved and affected by yesterday's clash.
Ohiming, just a quick one on what the woman said. You tried to find out from her if her son was part of the protesters, just to get a bit of clarity there. Did she say no, he had gone to school, or that she couldn't tell if he was part of the protesters or not?
Yeah, let me find out from her so we can understand the situation very clear. Mama, Mr. Victor, and now go school no, and I say what is say okoye, and I say wanko. Nti ebrebe na ode ne ho obehia saa kwanhia we. Nti na de wo kan de ebra asem si e na o hye ne suku atade ana. Okay. Okay, so she tells me the incidents happened after the gentleman had closed from school, and she's been, enrolled in electrical apprenticeship. So after the school, he was on his way to the shop when the incident occurred. So she's grieving over the death of her son, her only child, Victor Owusu, 19-year-old final year student of Nkoranza Technical Institute.
Ohiming, when we spoke yesterday, you mentioned that the youth had put their protest on hold because they had picked up some information that some miscreants wanted to use the opportunity to create mayhem. Why the U-turn after that meeting they had with the chiefs of the town?
It's difficult to answer this question because I was actually part of a meeting between the traditional authorities and the youth leaders who the Omahine Nana Kwame Bafo IV addressed them and asked that they hold on with whatever action that they want to embark upon. For instance, he advised them to exercise restraint and promise the support of the traditional council in ensuring speedy investigations into the death of Albert Akwasi Donko. So, few minutes after the meeting with the traditional authorities, I engaged the leadership of the youth who said, yes, they've agreed. And then because he's the overlord of the area, they wouldn't want to do anything to disrespect his words.
Well, it appears we have a bit of a challenge with the feed. We'll try to reconnect. But
Definitely.
very sad development there. 90-year-old Victor Owusu shot in the head.
Yeah,
and if he was in school uniform and all of this, it's a bit passerby returning from school. We do not know technically whether he took part in the protest or whatever, but this leaves a lot to be desired.
Look, Benjamin, I mean, I'm really disheartened because there are just so many scenes of Idra that keep coming back. I remember in the Idra instance, one gentleman who was shot and his mother shared a similar story. She had gone to the market, he was a student. Thankfully, he didn't die. Unfortunately, this young boy has lost his life.
I mean, third year in his final term,
with 3 months
schooling
to write the wasi.
3 months to sit. You can't even begin to imagine the pain of this woman.
Exactly.
19 years. She's taking care of this child as a parent for 19 years, hoping something would emanate from his life, and his life just snuffed out like that.
So we've still got Mr. Emmanuel Bomane on the line. I mean, I don't know how you feel about what we've just heard from the mother of this victim. And as your co-panelists said before they left us, it appears the scenes from Idra are just playing back. Youth go to protest the killing or the death of one person, and then you have more of them either getting critically injured or dying in the process.
Yes. First of all, I join you in the studio in expressing how disconcerting and how disheartening this is. But I also join you in appreciating your media practice that allows Victor Owusu's mother to grieve, but not to just grieve alone in her small community, but for Ghanaians to see in their homes and offices that there is a certain burden that falls not just on the victims, but on all of us collectively as victims when things of this nature go wrong as they have gone wrong. But let me basically say that if you follow the conversations up to now, before my two colleagues left, with all the brilliant and excellent submissions they made, what comes to us constantly is the type of quality we put in the Ghana Police Service is the output also in terms of the quality that we will have. So very quickly, I would start with training and retraining. How are we training personnel of the Ghana Police Service so that inherently and intuitively they are aware that every action that they undertake, they must be aware that they can equally be held accountable for those actions, even if those actions are in policing and in providing service in the nature of the protection of civilians. And that is the complexity of policing in a young democracy or a democracy as ours. You cannot say that because I'm a police personnel, I can be trigger happy with how I deploy the weapon that has been given to me simply because I'm doing my work or I'm performing my duties as a police. You must be aware that you can be held accountable if in so executing your duties, you do not do it properly. But that comes back to the training and the retraining. I know for a fact that yes, we need more police personnel. But if you look at some of our training facilities, some of our training facilities were to take about 600 recruits, but they end up having about 1,200 in the same premises. They are overcrowded, they are not eating well, and the training in itself is not delivering the type of quality in terms of input. But we want them to pass out and be very good in delivering service. So this is one aspect of it. But beyond that, the second aspect is the interconnection between the role of the police and the judicial service. Because when the police makes the effort to stop impunity, for example, they arrest somebody who is selling weapons illegally. And I think there was an incident like that in Bolga last week, Bolga Tanga, capital of the Upper East. What the public expect is when they hear that such a person would be prosecuted, they want updates on what happened. But at that point, the case gets lost, in which later on, it is as if to say that it's the judicial arm of government that did not do its work. And so the police then are left on the ledge and hanging. So there is also how we improve the performance of the judicial service in supporting the police to do their work. And my third comment on this comes back to the professionalization of the police. But when we talk about the professionalization of the police, I totally agree with my former panelists that there must be also the constant civic education of citizens and the populace, that it doesn't matter how difficult the situation may be, do not go after the police to hurt them or to destroy public property. Because the police, when they wear the uniform, they represent all of us as citizens of the state of Ghana. When you attack them, you're not attacking individuals, you're attacking the state. And often their response, as Professor Enin said, becomes disproportionate. So we need to educate particularly the youth that the answer is not in attacking the police. But having made this observation, I also accept that these processes of change do not happen overnight. And I will not mince words. I am one of the people of so many Ghanaians who are very happy with the type of leadership IGP Dampare is bringing to the police, going out on community outreach, engaging them, being social, and helping people to connect with the police as friends and not as their enemies, and trying to bring that civil police or military relationship is important, but it will need time for it to sustain itself. And I hope that we can see better training for better service. And finally, if I were to make a last comment also on this, it might be necessary, following from the observations that we did not learn from Ejura, and these incidences are repeating, to audit the recruitment of personnel into the service, and to have what I would call a quality control of how people have been recruited and whether at the end of their training and passing out, they really are fit for purpose truly as police officers, so that we do not see a situation in which if a recruitment went wrong, the person simply goes through the emotions of training, but that person was never prepared to be a police officer. So maybe the IGP might consider, and I think there are examples already of trying to get rid of the bad nuts or the bad police, like the bullion van incident in which some police have been implicated. They are taking them out one after the other. But can they do an audit to be able to ensure that they bring value into the Ghana Police Service in terms of personnel.
Monday, thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning and sharing your thoughts with us. So, Benjamin,
I think we also ought to remind viewers that we had Professor Kwesi Yenning joining the conversation, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso as well, international relations expert, and now Emmanuel Bombande. But, you know, something I would have, unfortunately, technology has not aided us, something I would have wanted to find out from Ohiming Teria, our man on the beat. You know, the youth started, one of the youth leaders mentioned that it must end with
Albert
Akwesi Donko, that no other life must be lost. And they reacted the way they did yesterday. I would have wanted him to gauge the temperature for us. Now that another life has been lost, a 19-year-old, 28-year-old gone, a 19-year-old losing his life as well, under these circumstances, how the people in the community are reacting. It would be interesting to know.
Yes, so our team is working really hard to get Ohiming Teria back on the line. Hopefully technology will be a friend this morning. But Benjamin, I must also add that, you know, the facts around the gentleman's death, we've only heard from the mother's side, as was told her by those who were there.
You mean the 19-year-old?
The 19-year-old, yes, right. Victor Wusu's death. I'm saying this because you know what transpired during the Idra committee.
Oh, yeah.
We were told that it was possible that the gun that was used on the victims, those who were protesting, could have been fired from within the crowd. We wait to see what the story will be this time round with regards to this 19-year-old.
People we didn't see armed with any munitions, but with cudgels.
I just had to put that in there, that this is the account we are getting from the mother, as was told by the those who were there, who witnessed.
I would just add that for me, I am in total agreement with what the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative is saying. We've got to the point where the police can't continue investigating itself. You can't be a judge in your own case. I think the legal people will say nemo judex in causa sua. Let's have an IPPC, an independent entity. Look, I have a case pending, and I say this without any bias, at the Police Professional Standards Bureau. I get the feeling, and I'm not being impartial here, if it were an ordinary citizen, maybe some of these things would have. Sometimes these things, and it's, oh, you've lodged a complaint, it's against it, all kinds of convoluted. Take it away from the police and let an independent entity deal with the issue.
Yeah, Benjamin,
we're sick and tired of these things.
And let me just say that I had an experience working with a young man who was coming from the Volta region to Accra. And he was stopped, the vehicle he was traveling in, a public vehicle, was stopped, and he was handpicked because he had dreadlocks on. And he was told, bring your bag, let's search your bag. They searched the bag, and they say they found weed. He said, okay, show it to me.
I like the way they say, they say they found weed.
Yeah, because...
You remember the incident with, what's his name? I'll let you go on, but the City FM, Sanda.
Yeah.
Our colleague.
Yeah.
And how he insisted on filming and ensuring that, because sometimes we all know what happens.
I mean, the former IGP spoke about that, so it's no secret that some of them plant.
They plant stuff on you.
On people. So this, I mean, just making the story brief, this young man says, he said, show it to me. They said, we'll not show it to you. Bundled him up in their car, kept him till about 5 p.m. He had to come to school. The part of the story that broke me was that they took his phone and called his mother. He said he pleaded with them. My mom is not well. Don't call her. You know what you're doing is not right. They called this woman. According to him, she suffered a stroke. She had a shock, suffered a stroke, and went to the hospital. Now, the police...
On the back of hearing that?
Yes, on the back of hearing that your son has been arrested for having weed on him. Now, the policeman said, give us money. He said, I don't have money. All I have, you know, I think he said was the school fees, which was on his mobile money. You won't believe what happened. They took his phone, you know, initiated the transaction, asked him for his PIN, and they transferred the money to themselves. Now, you know, they have these Velcro name tags.
Right.
So they had all taken them off. So he couldn't identify the people. But here's where technology helped. He went to MTN for a statement.
Right.
And then he just saw the transfer was made to a certain inspector.
Right.
He took it to PIPS. Nothing happened.
Right.
Nothing happened. I did that story. He came here to Joy FM, and then I spoke to a couple of senior colleagues, and they said, you know what, go to Commander One. You know who Commander One is?
Oh.
COP Boache.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Kofi Boache.
Kofi Boache. So
right.
I went to Kofi Boache's office, and he called the gentleman, and he was in. I wasn't allowed to sit in the meeting, but I could hear what was transpiring, and he was so upset. Within 30 minutes, he had put them at the Nima police station. The young man was given his phone and his money, and there was going to be an inquiry on that case. So like you're saying, we've seen it happen time without number. This PIPS issue, that nothing really happens about. But we'll be back to take your comments and your thoughts on this particular story and the national security issue. How are you staying vigilant amidst the threats? We'll take a quick breather here. When we also come back, we'll be talking about the Achimota forest. Is it for sale or not? Well, the minister says all you're hearing is not true. We'll be back.